And we're going to continue with the second part of the tutorial, which will be cleaning the mask. We're going to start by cleaning the jaw piece and the jaw structure. Excuse me. And yeah, without further ado, we'll go ahead and jump into it. All right, guys. So we're just going to start off with a basic plane, and then just kind of extrude along the shape to kind of figure out the shape. Also, I kind of sped these videos up. You guys can slow them down a bit, if you need to kind of just slow it down to understand what's going on. But I just sped them up because the videos started to render out a bit long. So, but back to the his jaw structure. I'm just kind of like when I read topology, sometimes I like to use the modeling toolkit, but sometimes I like to just go and just kind of rebuild the mesh, the design in Maya, just using basic extrusions and certain tools like that, and kind of just putting as you can see me there going from side to side, looking at the original base mesh and the concept mesh. And sometimes I just kind of like to do it like that. And also I'm looking at those hidden references that I was referring to early on. So just kind of going in and cleaning up that shape and getting a nice clean version of this concept scope that we did. So, and if you notice, I don't use any crazy tools. To be honest, all you really need. That's why I love Maya so much. Maya has such strong tools, but you really don't need much of them if you grasp the basic concept of modeling. All right, guys, getting back to the jaw structure. I'm just kind of building out that little piece that you guys kind of see extruding out of his jaw. Just kind of playing around with that piece. And you'll see me kind of going around pieces a lot. Like I'm kind of indecisive when I'm modeling. Like right there, I'm just always trying things, seeing what looks better. And also I like to model for, I guess we call it one mode. And you press the one key in Maya and it shows like a lower version. And you press 3, um, it shows a high res version. So I like to model for 3 mode. So I usually don't put my holding edges in until later. So I like to get the base, most all the main shapes out, and then go ahead and put my holding edges back in there. As you can see, I'm just making that indentation. Um, if you that indentation you can see in the reference image, just kind of making that just pop out a little bit more, creating that shape. And yeah, so this process is really, like I said, it's just a lot of extruding and kind of just pushing and pulling verts to match the original concept mesh. So yeah, this is more of a, I would say this is like, I wouldn't say this is the part that I like least about modeling the character, because I actually learn a lot when just retopologizing characters. Just I learn a lot about just shapes in general, so I kind of have an idea of shapes in my head already after I go to a next character. This character has showed me so many different new shapes and new forms that I can create in an easy way now. So I feel like there's always something you can learn from just manually retopologizing, because I could just retopologize in ZBrush, use the Z remesher, but I feel like a lot I feel like I get a lot more. All right, guys. So at this point, now we're gonna jump to like his ear. We're gonna jump to another piece. I guess like this yeah, his ear shape or whatever you want to call it, for lack of better words. And just starting out the base out that shape. Getting a basic cylinder. Um, and a lot of this, the reason, also a big reason why I like to go back and do this in Maya is because, like I said, going back to it again, you learn these shapes. You can see these shapes a lot better. I feel in Maya you can kind of understand them a lot better because they're a lot more low res now. So now you have a lot more control. As you can see, I'm realizing that these two pieces are actually connected, but before I connect them, I kind of wanted to make sure that I got the original shape of the second piece, if you will. Um, so with that, like I feel like with that amount of control, that level of just detail, you could just go in and create all types of shapes very easily. So I like that. That's kind of how I like to take that's kind of how I like to take it. How I like to start projects, I like to basically just look at the base shape, like take all the detail out of it, and just think about its shapes in its bare form. And after that, everything, like I said, will just fall into place. So right now, here we go. I'm putting in my holding edges to see, see if this shape's actually gonna hold that the correct shape that I want. And yeah, just kind of going in and massaging that shape until I get a good feel for it. That's another thing I see a lot of artists do. I see them kind of just replicate what they see, but it's more about if it feels right, then I feel like you're on the right track. And at this point, I'm just adding those extra extrusions out that you see in the reference image. And now we're just continuing with that shape. And I'm pulling it in some because I see that it's kind of underneath that helmet piece. So just kind of going in and making sure all of that is in the correct place. Now I'm going to start this little indention soon. Yeah, I'm going to start the indentions going around his ear protectors. Because he's got. If you look at the reference images, it looks like they kind of like took pieces out going around the circle. So and also he has this extrusion that kind of has this shape above it, looks like. So I'm just kind of making that extrusion for the earpiece as well. Just kind of getting a lot of those secondary details in. So I mean, and also the topology is going to be clean, but it doesn't have to be ridiculously smooth and accurate, because we're still going to take this back as ZBrush and high res it up, do the final sculpting on it. And as I said, just still going around and adding those pieces, starting to add more edge loops. For this piece, I kind of stayed in 3 mode a lot more because I wanted to see how that round shape would react to all of these edges. So it's kind of, you just got to know when to do things. And yeah, right now I'm just making sure that I stay true to the design and the original shape and the concept. As it seems like the jaw piece is going to be kind of connecting a little bit. Not necessarily connecting, but right up in those extruded areas. So I'm just kind of working on that, making sure I can see that actually happening. And then going back in and starting to put in my edge loops, clean up a lot of these edges a little. And what you see me doing here is when you extrude, and then you kind of I guess scale in, it gives this nice, I don't know, just this nice extrusion feel. So and here I'm going back to add the edge loops to my to the draw structure, so I finally feel like, all right, now it's about time to clean this shape up. There's not much details left in this shape other than the details we're going to make in ZBrush. So just going back, making sure that everything is, now that I have his jaw and his earpiece, making sure that everything is feels right, is connected right, pulling out that hole in his jaw to kind of stick over the piece that comes out. And also making sure that you always want to just check your models from all the angles, and make sure that everything is, all the forms are correct. And then you really just start to see your piece, slowly come to life. It's a process. So yeah, all of this is just basic tweaking. It's just a lot of tweaking. And right there, as you can see, I was pulling it in to connect it a little more to the helmet to give a more complete feel for the helmet itself. And here, what I'm doing is I realized that it kind of sticks up, like his mouthpiece kind of sticks up. And I know there's an indentation too as well, but I'm gonna wait to mirror the other side over before I create that asymmetry. So I'm just cleaning up his, adding those extra forms now to his actual jaw structure. And this is why I like mine. You could just tweak, and it's easy tweaks, and you don't destroy so much so easily. That's another thing. It's a bit non-destructive. Well, it's a lot easier than ZBrush, but ZBrush has its advantages. So, all right, guys. So I'm gonna jump to the helmet really quick. The original recording didn't save, so when I retopologized it, yeah, I don't have that original information. So I'm gonna just kind of go over and retopologize it again. And so yeah, basically this is how I would start the helmet process. I would just kind of use the modeling toolkit and kind of just draw around the shapes. As right now, I would emphasize my main shapes, like that main octagon type pattern, if you will, or whatever pattern that is. I kind of just go around that so the edge loops can loop, and when I put the extra edge loops in there, it'll be, the holding edges will be in the correct places, and we won't have weird deformations on his goggle shape. So yeah, this main part is basically just me going in there with the modeling toolkit and just rebuilding that shape with a lot less geometry and a better edge flow, basically. And what I did was I kept his eyepiece empty because I'm gonna actually like put another piece in there. So we'll just extrude that in and then pop that piece in. And as you can see, the modeling toolkit is really helpful. It it's just, you just basically remodel right there on top of the geometry. So it's such a big help. And yeah, as you can see, the geometry for the original piece is not, the topology for the original piece is not bad. It's just I feel like I needed a little bit cleaner topology for this mesh. I had some, like I said, I had some kind of some artifacts that I really didn't want in the mesh. So just going back in there and properly, adjusting everything that I feel like needs to be adjusted. Right now, I'm getting that little piece that you'll see um, right above his nose area, making sure that's going to work properly, and just basically realigning everything. So yeah, this part's fairly straightforward. It's just, as I said again, basic extrusions, basic modeling toolkit. We clean up the mesh, the geometry. Nothing too fancy here. Just going in and making those extra details, those extra extrusions at the middle top part of his helmet, his mask, his face mask. And continuing this shape, we just slowly building out, well, placing edge loops to hold all of these, basically hold my border edges, and just still massaging the shape. I mean, and a lot of this shape is actually going to come from the ZBrush finalizing as well, to kind of get extra, I don't know, just that extra pop and those extra bevels. We'll do that in ZBrush because I feel like trying to do it in Maya, it'll just be too destructive. And here I'm trying to bring out those. See, I'm trying to bring out some of those extra details, and I feel like um, it's a lot more difficult in Maya. But certain details I feel like we could definitely get, so we won't have much problem in ZBrush, and we won't have to do much in ZBrush. We'll just have the basic sculpting necessary or needed to be done. And as I said, just going in there extruding some faces out to kind of give some of those secondary details, excuse me. um, just cleaning up the shape, adding holding edges and edge loops and where they need to be. Just kind of looking around the shape now, and I noticed that, see, those are some of those details that we're gonna do in ZBrush. But I decided to go ahead and pop some in now, pop the basic geometry in. But as you can see, me being indecisive, I decided to go ahead and just be like, nah, I think I'm just gonna wait in ZBrush. But this part, I decided to go ahead and work in Maya, because he definitely has this hole in his mask that basically sets up for this connector piece. So I went ahead and did that in Maya. And going back to those details, when I did those extrusions for the details, that kind of just made me, it gave me insight on what will happen when I go in ZBrush. So now I know that it will be nice, clean details in ZBrush. And I like this tool that Maya finally brought in, the Sculpt Geometry tool. Go in there and kind of smooth some things out and get rid of those creases along your geometry. And so yeah, you just go in and kind of clean up your shape a little bit. What I was trying to do is make the goggles a little smaller. I don't really want them to extrude back so far, so I went back and deleted that part. And now we are about to start the back, so we'll jump into that.